Today's topic is about the one-child policy. The one-child policy, or formerly known as family planning policy in China, first introduced in the late 1970s. Only allowed families whereby both parents were the only child to have two children or one of the parents was born an ethnic minority. The rule also allowed couples from rural areas to apply to have a second child if their first one was a daughter. One-child policy is also a disaster for elderly parents who lose the only child. For old people who born in 1950s to 1960s, their whole life are almost unfortunate, and they still face risks that they will die alone in the end of their lives. To some degree, it was the country determining their fate, even that generation that people like them. As teenagers, they were deprived of education because of political upheavals like the Cultural Revolution. When they grew up, they could only work in factories with low pay, and after they got married, they were allowed to have only one child. The fertility rates are facing a tremendous challenge because of one-child policy. China had already enacted an aggressive family planning policy in the early 1970s, and its fertility rates had already dropped sharply before the enactment of the one-child policy. The one-child policy was also enacted at almost the same time as China's market-oriented economic reforms, which triggered several decades of rapid growth, which would also tend to reduce fertility rates. Furthermore, a viewpoint which believes one child is enough is forming gradually. The key factors for parents weighing whether or not to have a second child was the quality of the public services, especially educational and medical services. They would be able to afford for two children as well as access to childcare. In a way, the competitive working atmosphere and some ridiculous restrictions in company employment changed women's attitudes for second child. Last but not least, one-child policy is basically dispensable because of sharp decreasing on women fertility rates at that time. Although one-child policy controls the population growth rate to some degree, it brings prospective workforce shortage and less number of women of childbearing age. The elderly people are also affected by one-child policy. In my opinion, to respect people's rights and leave individuals with room for choices will be a better option. Moreover, to consider more about women's rights and improve second child welfare will be useful for the implementation of two-child policy.